The story follows a dangerous shinobi named Gabimaru, who'd been nicknamed the Hollow by other people because they believe he's a vicious killer without a soul. The anime begins with Gabimaru about to be executed, and he's been sentenced to death after trying to relinquish his duties and escape with his wife. However, instead of being terrified like most people, he's rather indifferent about it. He claims that he has no attachment to life and believes that death would be a pleasure, but unfortunately, he just can't die. The magistrate's office tries to behead him, and the executioner strikes his neck several times, but that doesn't work and the blade simply breaks on his neck at the end. Yep, that's how tough this guy's skin is. Gabimaru's then returned to his cell where he's visited later that night, and it was an inspector by the name of Yamada who was there to see him. She was sent by the magistrate's office to find out exactly why Gabimaru won't die. And it turns out that Gabimaru was trained by shinobis who happen to be the most skilled ninjas and assassins in the land. From a very early age, they are taught to kill and endure extremely painful ordeals until those who survive end up developing bodies that can withstand any form of torture. The following day, after the failure of their first execution attempt, Gabimaru is brought once more and tied at the stake. The executioners believe that they've devised a way to finally kill the Hollow, but little did they know that they were in for another surprise. They tie him and set him on fire, but just as the inferno surrounds him, they're shocked to see his eyes looking at them from inside the fire. I'm pretty sure the executioners would have nightmares after seeing that. And once again, Gabimaru comes out alive and seems disappointed as the guards take him back to his cell again. At night, Yamada Sagiri returns to continue her interview, and she asks him if he's resisting their execution attempts, but he denies doing that, claiming that he wishes to die. In the following morning, the magistrate's office takes Gabimaru out of his cell again to try another way to finally kill him. But this time his legs are tied to two bulls on either side, and the plan is to make the bulls run in opposite directions, which would split him from groin to chest. Ouch. However, when the bulls try to run, Gabimaru resists their movements, and after a short while, they fall to the ground in front of him exhausted. I guess they probably should have used elephants, huh? Maybe that would have worked. Sagiri notices what he did, and at night she asks him how he got captured. He reveals that he tried to escape his duties as a shinobi, and he also tried to get out of marrying his chief's daughter. But unfortunately, when they found out about his plans, they betrayed him during his final mission, where he was captured. Gabimaru claims that the marriage was a living hell, and that his wife's kindness was driving him crazy. Later, a man warns Sagiri to be careful with Gabimaru because he's incredibly dangerous. He tells her a rumor that the shinobi are immortal because they drank the elixir of life. This piques Sagiri's curiosity because despite Gabimaru's claims that he wants to die, he resisted the arrest and even used his powers to stay alive when they tried to kill him. Gabimaru vows that he would surrender his life the following day, but once again, after being dipped in boiling oil, he still doesn't die. To be honest, watching this I thought, what were they thinking? Cause the guy already survived being set on fire? Boiling oil is just another version of that, really, isn't it? Anyways, later that night, the guards take Gabimaru underground, where he's shocked to see Sagiri wielding a katana. And it turns out that she's an executioner from the Yamada clan. This is a big problem for him because the Yamada clan happen to be the only ones that can kill him. She then charges at him, but he dodges all her attempts, and Sagiri calls him out for lying to himself, and she tells him that he actually wants to stay alive because he wants to be with his wife whom he loves. Initially he denies it, but eventually admits to it, and Sagiri then shows him an official pardon, granting his freedom but on one condition. He must compete with other dangerous criminals condemned to death to find the elixir of life on the mystical island of Shen Senkyo. The magistrates don't accept the arrangements and threaten to kill Gabimaru and Sagiri, but the shinobi uses his ninjutsu to engulf them in flames before accepting the offer to gain his freedom. Sagiri remembers a time years ago when she witnessed her father behead a man with a strike so perfect that the man didn't even know that he died. I mean, that must have been one hell of a strike, huh? And it was from that moment that she made it her ambition to recreate the strike one day. But unfortunately, fear held her back as she tried because she ended up getting haunted by the people she executed. In the present, Sagiri arrives at the capital with the rest of the criminals, bound before the shogun, and she blindfolds Gabimaru just like the rest of the criminals because they aren't worthy to behold the shogun with their eyes. As she goes through the criminals' files, she's horrified to discover the heinous crimes that they've committed. Later, the instructors give the convicts the instructions and show them the only survivor from the last expedition to the island. The man doesn't appear normal anymore, and he's got flowers growing out of his body. And when the criminals realize that this is the fate that awaits them on the island, some of them change their minds. Seems like a smart move, right? Well, think again. Seeing this, the officials simply state that anyone who isn't motivated to go to the island can leave, but when one of them stands up to leave, he's executed right on the spot. Yeah, probably should have seen that one coming. The officials inform them that they would be monitored on the island and whoever breaks the rules given to them would be killed instantly by the Yamada clan. And unfortunately, that's not all. There's even more bad news for them when they realize that their numbers have to be reduced before going to the island. Hearing this, a criminal named Aza attacks the others, and a massive fight ensues amongst the criminals, and they all fight to stay alive. Despite all of this, nobody attacks Gabimaru, and none of them go even near him. And eventually, Gabimaru goes to the shogun to suggest another way to select those who would go to the island. However, the guards call him disrespectful for his actions and place a bounty on his head, with the reward being an automatic spot on the island. Some of the convicts attack him, and he tries to reason with them, but he eventually decides that he's had enough and viciously kills them. Sagiri notices the coldness in Gabimaru's eyes as he accepts the burden of taking more souls. She realizes that the reason that she has fears when killing people is because she hasn't developed the resolute to accept the burden of taking lives. After Gabimaru goes on a rampage, the officials end the fight and take the remaining prisoners on the ship to the island. When they arrive on the island, each criminal is escorted by a samurai from the Yamada clan. Asagiri follows Gabimaru as he recalls the time when the chief of his clan showed them the power of the elixir years ago, and he admits to Sagiri that it exists as they go deeper into the very colorful island. Sagiri is astonished by the beautiful island, but Gabimaru tells her that it's just a facade and that in reality, the place is extremely dangerous. Eventually, Gabimaru gets tired of being bound and frees himself, but Sagiri insists that he remain bound because it was the shogun's order. And when he realizes that she's not budging on her words, he allows himself to be bound again. While he was still trying to tie up his hands, he's suddenly attacked by another criminal named Kayun, and Kayun is a monk obsessed with weapons, and he wants to try his arsenal on the notorious shinobi. Kayun unleashes a barrage of attacks on Gabimaru, whose hands are still tied. At first, Gabimaru refuses to fight back, but when Kayun doesn't stop, he effortlessly kills the monk with his own weapons. Gabimaru stands unscathed with his hands still bound, and Kisho, who is Kainu's mentor, just takes his hand before leaving the island as his work is done. Before leaving, however, he warns Sagiri to be very weary of the shinobi. Turns out that Sagiri should have taken his word more seriously because the moment Kaisho leaves, Gabimaru suddenly attacks Sagiri with a sword, attempting to kill her, claiming that she would only waste his time. The two opponents try to kill each other, but they hesitate each time. And when Gabimaru finally subdues her, having the perfect chance to kill her, the dark force urging him to kill suddenly disappears and gets replaced by his wife's kind demeanor, which covers him completely. As Gabimaru stops the fight, he's pushed to tears, admitting that he does feel something after all. Elsewhere, another criminal is stung by a butterfly with a human face, so he immediately cuts off his hand. Shortly after, the severed hand starts to decay as flowers start to grow from it. I mean, that's just all kinds of messed up, isn't it? Not that I have anything against flowers, but come on. Still perplexed by what's happening, the criminal and his mentor are suddenly surrounded by strange and dangerous creatures that they've never encountered before. At the same time, Gabimaru and Sagiri are also confronted by the same mysterious creatures, leaving us to wonder how they would get out of the situation. And that's all for today's recap. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to see the next part. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.